Hello, this is Sibyl Harmony, and this is your newsletter for October 2020. This is a special newsletter for the people who are signed up for my newsletter. I put another video out on YouTube that was just called October Reading 2020 has included political things in it, and I want to keep the political out of this. I don't usually do that, but I felt like it's so important to speak up for the people, for all people, and my patriotic duty to say something. But what I'm going to just say here is that please remember to vote, make a plan and vote. People have fought and died for your right to vote, and it's super important this time. Okay, so there's a lot of energy going on this month. We have the full moon Thursday at the beginning of the month. It's very fiery, and I'm in Northern California where there's a lot of fires and smoke happening. Not right where I am. I happen to be in a place where I don't get evacuated. I guess because I'm closer to a town. It's just I'm in a kind of a fog belt here. And so, but lots of fires in Oregon, Southern California. So I wanted to talk about that a little bit. I pulled some cards, just like a lot of busy energy and a Mercury retrograde. So this month is kind of like having a good cup of coffee or a nice pot of tea and really getting some stuff done. That's what it feels like. So we are preparing for winter, and then we have Halloween. So I want to talk about the Halloween energy. I love costumes and parties, and that's fun. I like that part. And I like honoring, and I communicate with deceased people. So I like honoring our deceased loved ones. So it's an important time. In June and in October, the veil is thinner, so it's easier to connect. And they are around us a lot now anyway because of the difficult time we're having here on Earth while we go through this awakening and this change. We are going to a good place, and it's important to pray and visualize, but your deceased loved ones are here. And this reminds me, I pulled this card. It says it was my time to go. Well, okay, it's always the right time when someone leaves, even though our personalities don't like it on a soul level. They're contracted and agreed to leave when they leave. And there's a little bit more to it than that. That's another discussion. But this is the footprints. You see one set of footprints in the sand, and this brought to mind the footprints prayer. And basically what that says is that I was having a hard time, where were you? And the answer is, when you see one set of footprints in the sand, that is when I carried you. Isn't that beautiful? So that's why that's coming in, because they are coming around really a lot to help us. They do anyway, but because we're all having such a difficult time here on Earth now, with the global, warming, floods, and oh yeah, they're tapping on the walls. Okay. That happens with me a lot when, yeah, so they are here, and they are helping with also, because of the pandemic and just all the stress and tension that we're having here. So a lot of grief is an awakening. And so this is a lung disease that people, the pandemic, and then breathing in smoke from the fire. So there's a lot of things with lungs and grief. And that's a whole nother story too. But grief takes us, I don't know that I can really say anything because grief is a very personal process, but it takes us to a place very deep inside of us that is very sacred. And on the other hand, nobody gets out alive, and there is no death here. So remember that. Sometimes it's the way that we look at our lives, and when we go cosmic, when we look at the bigger picture of why are we here and the lifetimes that we've had. There actually, most organized religions do have reincarnation. It was taken out of the Bible for Christians and Catholics, which is really too bad because they don't know that we do go on. At least some of them don't. So, all right. So I wanted to talk about Halloween. When I was a child, my mother had a sign on our front door that said, "This is not," had a witch on it. You know, you have the old hag with the wart and the, oh. And so I feel like that is a negative stereotype. And my mother put this sign up on the door that said, "This is not a haunted house, but we honor the over 9 million women who were burned as witches." So if you were an herbalist or someone who is of service, like who wants to help, or you were different and you weren't kowtowing and following, you know, either whoever was in charge, the religion or the magistrate, you could be burned, tortured, killed, and have your children taken away. And yeah. And so particularly it happened a lot to women, because women tend to be healers. Not always. There were men too. And so I want to honor that. So that's one thing that's really near and dear to my heart about Halloween is, you know, celebrating costumes, fun, and treats. That's wonderful. I do sugar-free. That's me. I don't do the sugar. But I don't like the idea of being scared or gore. It's like, don't we have enough of that already with wars and pandemics? And if you've had an abusive childhood, like I have, you've already, you know, been there, done that. You don't need to, and you don't want to do that. And so I'd like to introduce, and I'm sure other people have thought of it, but I like the idea of creating a new Halloween holiday. Because I always thought, like, who created this stuff? What is this? Because when it's younger, it may feel like, oh, it's fun to get scared. Let's watch a scary movie. And it's kind of a weird thing to do that. It kind of gets you out of your body. It drains your adrenals. It's like really not good for your immune system or your health. So it's just kind of a weird thing. So I don't particularly care for that. So I just wanted to say that about honoring the dead and honoring our ancestors and knowing that they are here assisting us and that the veil is thin and you may feel them around a little bit more in October. Also, people attract ghosts and things around that time because, well, you know, you put up the decorations and you have all, you know, it's just like a red flag for like, hey, I want some trouble. Really weird. Okay. Weird holiday. Okay. All right. Have fun. Happy Halloween. Hallows Eve. Holy Eve or something. Okay. So we have Mercury Retrograde. And I used to not like Mercury Retrograde. And so if you notice, I'm talking about change. So there's a lot of things that we're changing. I'll talk about that in a minute. But Mercury Retrograde, we're already in the shadow. We started in the shadow of September. It'll be in October, and then we'll come out like the beginning or middle of November. You can look that up. But Mercury Retrograde is the planet of communication, travel, technology, like the written word, going backwards. So when it goes backwards, our thinking can become foggy, our communication maybe not so clear. It can be frustrating. You might notice things that need to be fixed or things break because it'll show you what needs to be fixed. And it'll make you redo things. Like this is the third time I've done this video, but I'm getting a better result because each time I learned something. So if you use it to help you walk the razor's edge, you can get a better result because you can't just stop traveling or communicating for 3 weeks, 2 or 3 times every year. I mean, it's just, and then the shadow 2 or 3 weeks before or after it. That's ridiculous. So if you use it to give yourself extra time to be patient with people, because there's a lot of anger too about communication and people blurting things out or flying off the handle. That energy is here still this month. But also, you know, listening to people, being patient with people, repeating this is what I said, did you hear me? or I'm hearing you say this, so that they know they are heard, so that you're having listening and like, please listen to me and then I'll listen to you, or the other way around, and then repeat what I said. So that can be really helpful in Mercury retrograde, giving yourself extra time and understanding that when you're having to redo something or repair something, it's because it was time for that to be repaired. So anything with redecorate, redo, research, review, going back and looking at things, you can get a better result when you're more detailed and you redo it. Also, if you can avoid signing contracts or making any big decisions, you might change your mind after that. I would not start a relationship in a Mercury retrograde. People may return from the past, but there's some things around relationships I want to talk about too. But I wouldn't start one. You could still be friends or say, let's get to know each other, but understand that, dates might be missed or people could be late or misunderstandings could happen. But I wouldn't sign the dotted line if you can wait. If you can't, then I bought cars, but I bought 2 cars. So I had 2 vehicles, and I wished I hadn't bought that truck. That was a huge mistake, but I didn't know till years later. But so anyway, that's Mercury retrograde. And so change, there's a lot of change. So wisdom, the ability to manifest, like the cup of coffee or the tea I talked about, there's this energy where either, like I moved a new chair and I'm sitting in a new place, so I rearranged my home. I'm not moving. I'm planning possibly a move maybe next year, but I repaired things. I redid things. I changed the way I work with my guides. And we will change. Change will happen. So be the agent of the change that you want, instead of waiting for the change to happen, because then it happens to you rather than something you create. So anything that gets you in balance with the earth. Voting for people, we're in the fires here, there's floods, there's hurricanes, coming to a town near you. Sorry. Yes, it is not too late to change what we're doing with the environment. And I talked about that a little bit on my video that Psychic Energy October 2020 that's on YouTube. So that is a little bit in there. I talked about how we are really needing to come into balance with the earth and really make significant changes that improve our economy. That we can't improve the economy, that jobs will be lost. We can retrain people, but we won't have a planet, and it'll cost more money to do nothing. So now it's gotten to the point where we really shouldn't be listening to the big oil companies. And they're a part of the beings that destroyed the planet destroyed Atlantis. And it's not about money, because they have more money than they'll ever need. It's about power. And so that's why I'm saying vote. Vote the environment. The candidates who help the environment, and people who are not racist. That is part of the old paradigm. Not, helping the 1%, but helping the people. Okay, I won't do that. I said I wasn't going to do that, so I won't do that. But so making changes, changing in the way that you do things. Choose the change. You've had to change maybe the way you work. Maybe you're working at home. Maybe you're working on Zoom. I do a lot of clients now on Zoom and on the phone. So change is here. And change in how we relate to the earth. I planted an even bigger vegetable garden. So change, okay? Now I wanted to talk about, we said there's a lot of anger. It's also hero energy. So if you feel guided to be somebody's hero, or you may need to be your own hero and set boundaries and take care of yourself and stay home, get ready for the winter, or you may feel guided to help others. to be the hero. It's important to have patience. There's all this hot, fiery energy. So we have fires now. When I pulled some cards, I do see, and it's in different areas, and little pockets may break out here or there, but I feel like it's worse like the end of September and now October with this big, hot, fiery full moon, the 1st of October. It's already here. So I feel like that is not a good time for fires, but I feel like we might even have some early rain or some cooling of weather in the second half or the end of October for most areas. Where I am in Northern California, and I'm in Sonoma County, I do see some distant fires or some problems flaring up in Southern California and up in Mount Shasta, Oregon area. I do see that, still some in the west, but not as bad. I feel like the second half of the month is better. Like I said, we may even get some rain, so keep praying for rain. Now, it's very important. I talked about change, and I'm talking about the fires now, and respecting the earth and coming into balance with the earth. But it's also important to pray and imagine the world that we want. So I know it's been very difficult and a lot of people are having a hard time, but so now we need prayer even more, and we'll do a little meditation, a grounding, healing meditation to bring in prayer and thinking about and visualizing the world that we want and being in harmony with the earth. Also, when you have a less angry president, if you have a chaotic, angry president, the weather reflects that and the environment. So that's another clue of like when the elections happen, things will start to shift. Things will start to shift, And then also I've noticed that flus also relate to who we pick as a president. People pick people who they resonate with. If you're like, you'll do that with a lawyer or a healer or even your friends. If they're angry, if you're angry, they're angry, you connect, Or if they are kind of narcissistic and you have narcissistic, then you're like, yeah, that's my guy. You resonate on a soul level with them. But it's very important, here I go again, to have honesty and integrity. We are shifting into a higher vibration, a higher frequency of light, and a heightened state of awareness where the heart is open and we're more aware in our mind and connected to spirit and planet and earth in a higher awakening. And it's happening anyway. Even if you don't want to do it, it's happening. It's happening through grief, it's happening through loss, and it's happening in the environment. The earth will correct herself, and it is time for us to step up and help her do that, or then it doesn't work. But there's still time. A lot of people think there isn't, but there is. But it's now. Now is the time to make the changes. I also want to talk about awakening of consciousness and relationships. So I pulled this card. People may feel guided to make a commitment or get married because things are hard, and when you don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, sometimes people, hey, let's do this. And we're also in that Libra energy. And now I wouldn't do it until after the middle of November, set the date, but you can start talking about it or thinking about it, or you may have already met and be there, okay? But this is coming up is because a lot of people who are awakening, higher consciousness, older souls, get into relationships, and I see it all the time with my female clients, sometimes with men, but mostly female clients. Like, my partner isn't meditating, he isn't awakening, he isn't eating organic, vegan food, and he isn't meditating and doing all, helping everyone, and he just goes to work. Well, he's paying your bills. That's right. Well, So it's important for us to recognize and love people the where they are. Part of being an awakened soul is allowing other people to be where they are and not saying you have to be on the spiritual path or you have to be like me. I've seen some very, apparently calling themselves, flipping their hair, I'm yoga, I'm enlightened. And then you get to, I'm like, oh, wow, no. Because awareness and awakening is about integrity, honesty, truth, being who you are, being safe, generosity, boundaries, self-protection, yes, but and not being abused and not abusing others. That's all part of awakening. You can be interested in, like, if someone likes like football, I'm like, oh my God, football. That's okay. If someone likes stuff and they're into stuff that you're not into, or they're not a vegan, or the best way to heal somebody is by healing yourself. You're here. The only one you can really change is yourself. You're responsible for yourself and any minor children. And even they are their own persons. We're not here to control where somebody else is, even if they're a child. So remembering that what our job is to do our own work, and that we lift everybody up and inspire everybody as we heal ourselves, as we come into happiness and joy, as we come into this higher vibration of peace and manifesting in prosperity, tranquility, harmony. When we are safe, we bring everybody up around us. And that's what our job is, not to try to change a person. If they are the way that, love is not getting somebody to change. It's loving them the way they are, letting them be who they are. And that is a high state of awareness and consciousness. If they're abusing you, or they're going to hurt themselves with drugs and alcohol, you may need to leave. You don't have to stay with somebody, but if you're going to be with them, then love them for how they are. We're there to support and inspire people. And so let's see, is that it? Okay, let's do a little prayer and healing. And let's do this by breathing in our nose all the way in our belly, slowly to the count of 3, hold 2, and then release 3. And I'm sending you so much love and healing. Your breath grounds you, brings you into the present moment. It connects you with your spirit and peace. Notice and feel that you're connecting and grounding into the earth. And put your grounding cord on release if you would like to let go of whatever isn't serving you. And then a beautiful beam of light, golden, beautiful sunlight coming in, or you can pick another color, that's fine. Coming in from your higher self, the other side, from the highest vibration of the 5th dimensional reality, and bring that energy in of peace, gratitude, health, generosity, prosperity, safety. I am at peace, you are at peace. And as we download this light, we change the vibration of the planet, our communities, our towns, our cities, our states, our countries, our home, and everyone we come in contact with. Beautiful. May you have a blessed October. May you be healed, because in truth you already are. And if you'd like to book a session, I'm at Sibyl, Sibyl Harmony.com. Please like and subscribe my videos. It puts them up front. I'm new at making videos. I've been doing healing work for many years, and healing and reading and mediumship. So thank you.